Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a kit and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of gun and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for each episode of Loadout. Today's top comment comes from F account 36, if that's how you say your name. It says Austrian Loadout, AUG A3, Reflex, Fore Grip, Heavy Barrel, G17 or G18. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm pretty fond of the AUG A3, just the look of it, the design, all that stuff. Got a lot of nostalgia for this weapon. I first saw it in the Die Hard movie, and it is an Austrian gun, and it's a damn cool Austrian gun, one of the first to popularize the Bullpup design. Now, the whole point of the Bullpup design is so that you can fire the round from further back in the gun, overall shortening the length of the weapon. You're turning the stock of the gun into part of the firing mechanism of the weapon itself, and you're saving space, so you can have an assault rifle that's just as accurate as a full-length assault rifle, but shorter. This allows you to use it in close quarter situations. Now, of course, in Battlefield, the length of your weapon doesn't necessarily determine how easy it is to maneuver in close quarters. It might not stick out around corners as far as other guns, but ultimately it's not that big a deal. So DICE has decided to make Bullpup Design weapons fire much more accurately from the hip. This is probably something that is maybe a little bit more realistic, an actual realistic characteristic of Bullpup Design weapons. I can't speak from my own personal knowledge because I've never fired a Bullpup assault rifle, but I can imagine that firing the bullet from the rear of the weapon would actually be a bit easier to control. Now, the trade-off with having the magazine towards the rear of the gun is it takes a tiny bit longer to reload. So the AUG A3 has a short reload of 2.5 seconds and a long reload of 2.9 seconds. Not the best for constant close quarter crazy action. The hipfire accuracy is quite nice for that close quarter action if you're forced into it, but ultimately the AUG is best at medium to long ranges. Now, I really do like the foregrip on the front of this gun. You'll see that traditionally a lot of AUGs seem to have a foregrip on there. It seems to sort of fit the place of not a really big front stock on the weapon, so it just gives you a little bit bigger of an area to really grip the weapon. Makes it look a little bit more manageable in real life, but also the actual stats of the weapon. It has a 0.3 pull left and a 0.3 pull right on its recoil, which is on the medium to high side of side-to-side recoil. You could get away without it, but personally I actually like the foregrip on this thing. It just makes the gun look so easy to shoot. When you're aiming down sights and there's relatively no kick from this thing, it's very easy to keep on target at medium and longer ranges. The heavy barrel is a great complement. You could, if you wanted, run a laser sight instead of the heavy barrel if you're really going to maximize your hipfire accuracy and turn this gun into a real hipfire beast. However, I would recommend trying to avoid close quarter situations again. The only reason why you'd want to put a laser sight on here is if you're planning on using this more for hip firing close quarters, and I would say a heavy barrel is really going to suit this gun a lot better for those longer range encounters. So forget the laser sight. The heavy barrel is a great setup, and of course the reflex sight is a nice addition. You know, I prefer my Cobra sight, but you know what, the red dot sight is pretty nice also. It does allow for a tiny bit more accuracy with that red dot if you're not used to that sort of three-prong approach that the Cobra sight takes. Now, ultimately, my reason for not recommending the AUG in close quarter combat is that if you run into that faster firing assault rifle, you're going to get out damaged and probably killed in those close quarter situations unless you have the jump on your opponent. And even though the AUG fires at 700 rounds per minute, which is respectable, there are still 7 assault rifles that fire faster than the AUG A3. So you really are, chances are that you're going to run into somebody with a faster firing weapon. So you're always going to be outmatched in close quarters, and you better just hope that your reaction times and your planning are better than your opponent, otherwise you're going to get out damaged. If you're an absolute tactical player looking for any sort of possible edge to get in combat situations, you're going to want a faster firing weapon if you're playing close quarters mostly. However, I do like to approach things at medium and long ranges, which is why I love the AUG so much. I'm not the kind of player who likes to go rushing in, sort of losing your bounds and relying mostly on twitch reflexes to get the job done. I like to sort of check the map, see where the action's going on, and try and decide what is the most intelligent way to approach a situation, which usually involves finding your opponents at medium or longer ranges and being able to take them out at those ranges. Of course, you will run into people at close quarters, and that's where the hipfire accuracy of the AUG really comes into play. Now, the last patch that came out with Aftermath actually gave the AUG a bit of a buff. Not the biggest buff in the world, but if you're somebody who likes to use this weapon for its accuracy and its ease of use at medium and long range, then it's going to make that even easier for you. So no complaints here. The patch has reduced the initial kick of the gun. So basically there's a first shot recoil multiplier. The AUG had kind of a higher one at 3, meaning that your first shot is going to recoil 3 times more than all of the follow-up shots. They reduced that multiplier down to 2.6, so now the relatively low kick of its initial shot is even lower, so it's going to be much easier to just keep your shots on target in those burst fire scenarios at medium and longer ranges. Now, those of you who have been watching my channel for a while will notice that I generally do loadouts and weapon reviews on Team Deathmatch maps. I find Team Deathmatch to be a really good test of any gun, just because you're bound to run into a lot of different situations. If you're playing Rush, say on the defensive side, you can kind of camp in a little scenario. It's not going to give you the best representation of a gun. There's a lot of interesting flanking routes that'll often put you in situations where if you're a good player, if you sneak up behind a whole group of guys, it doesn't really matter too much what gun you have, so you might get a weird representation of the gun. You might get in there and take out 7 guys in one real quick instance and then think the gun is amazing, where it's actually mediocre. I like to play on Team Deathmatch because it gives you a pretty consistent feeling every time around. You're forced to play close quarters, long range, medium range, and it will throw you into the fray every now and then where you just really have to get your bounds and see how comfortable you are with taking on new and unexpected situations. I think it's the best test of a weapon. And frankly, the Aftermath and Armored Kill maps for Team Deathmatch are absolutely excellent. They provide you a really good combination of close quarters and long range action, so you can really get in the kind of fighting style that you want. If you've been playing your No Shar Canals and Karg Island Team Deathmatch maps for a while, I recommend trying to find some servers out there that play some of the newer maps on Team Deathmatch. They're really well designed, really well thought out, and I think they're a lot more fun than the usual close quarter craziness of No Shar or something like that. As you can see, I'm using the G18 sidearm here. I do enjoy the G17, although with the AUG A3 I felt like having something that was very powerful for close quarters, so I think the G18 is a great complement for this gun. It's a great pistol in general. It will absolutely destroy people in close quarter situations. It's pretty much garbage at medium or long range, and you're going to have trouble hitting the side of a barn as soon as anything gets too far away. But as far as having it as a nice little backup in case your reload's taking too long in close quarters, that G18 is more than capable for taking out multiple people. So as far as this loadout goes, I highly recommend it. I wouldn't really change anything about this AUG. Maybe swapping a Cobra. You know what? I was enjoying the red dot quite a lot. So go try it out. You know, I think if you keep it to medium and long range, you'll really be impressed with the power of the AUG A3. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.